I'm boring. That should probably come as no surprise to anyone. I'm no Edward Snowden or anyone else who has a real need for privacy, and I'm not doing anything that's illegal that I would need to hide. But I still think that it's worth protecting my private data, and I think it's worth it for all of you out there to defend your private data too. And that's what I'm going to be talking about right now on the Linux Lounge. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining Odysee, the freedom-respecting alternative to YouTube, links in the description. So it's probably no secret to anyone that big tech companies collect a lot of personal data. A common justification that people have for that is, well, what are you worried about if you have nothing to hide? Well, I don't have anything to hide. If you know me personally and you meet me in person or message me through a freedom-respecting service that doesn't collect user data, I will tell you anything that you could possibly want to know about me and what I'm up to and all that sort of thing. I'm an open book like that. The problem with these big tech companies collecting data is that it's part of what is called surveillance capitalism, which is essentially when companies turn your personal data into a product to be bought and sold, which is something that poses a major threat to liberty, autonomy, and even personal well-being. And I've decided that I've had enough of that. I'm going to make a stand against it. I have nothing to hide, but my data is not and never will be for sale. And it would seem that most people agree that their data isn't for sale either. For instance, a few years back, Kaspersky, a cybersecurity company, did a social experiment in which they offered people shirts and other items in exchange for their personal data. Most people declined to sell their data, so clearly people agree that their data is not for sale. So why are people so okay with selling their data in order to use social media services and other tech products? Well, I have three theories for that. One is that social media is just so normalized in today's society that people are completely okay with handing over their data to social media companies. If you don't have social media, you're that weird paranoid person. So therefore, people are motivated to use social media without question. The next idea that I have for why people are so okay with handing over their personal data is, although people don't want to be spied on, they really don't want to pay for things. Data collection enables social media platforms to be free to use, and people don't want that to change. But honestly, I think a small subscription fee to use these platforms would be worth it if they stop collecting and selling user data. Alternatively, we could just take the capitalism out of tech altogether and turn it into more of a labour of love. Many Mastodon instances run without generating a profit because of the love that the community puts into them. Why can't all social media and big tech sites work that way too? The final hypothesis that I have about why people are so willing to hand over their data is that the process of doing so is incredibly impersonal. In Kaspersky's social experiment, people were so unwilling to hand over their data because they were looking at someone in the eye as they took their data. That gives you a very uncomfortable feeling. But joining a social media site like Facebook or some other similar site like that, where you give away a huge amount of data, is a very impersonal process. You type some text into a box and hit sign up. That's it. You can't see the person that's looking through your data. Despite how impersonal the process is, I assure you that your personal data can be viewed. Much like the telescreens of George Orwell's 1984, it is impossible to tell when or if someone is looking at what you're doing or your private data. More likely than not, it's a bot doing it, but who's to say that a human couldn't go looking at your data? Certainly they could, because you handed it over and their license agreement says that they can do pretty much whatever they want with it. This person could see everything about you, probably more than even your friends and family know about you. They can tell details such as your name, age, gender, sexuality, religion, where you live, what locations you frequent, and more. Are you really willing to give that data up to some random stranger in order to use some service that's probably causing you mental health issues and wasting your time anyway? I assume that most people probably wouldn't be willing to do that if they actually sat down and thought about it. So in conclusion, I have absolutely nothing to hide. I'm not doing anything sketchy and I don't intend to. But my personal data is not for sale, which is why over the next few months I'm going to start deleting my social media and big tech accounts. I don't expect that it'll be easy, as social media and big tech have become a pretty integral part of today's society. But once again, my name, age, gender, religion, location, political views, sexuality, who I associate with, and more are all things that are not for sale. And I encourage you to join me in standing up to big tech and saying enough is enough. Our private data is not a product to be bought and sold.